Hey everyone, I've been working really hard on stock photography for a very long time now. And, when you're doing something day in and day out, you tend to realize some of the mistakes that you're doing. And, just like everyone else here, we all make mistakes in certain business models. Nobody's perfect. And I was able to think about the two biggest mistakes that could possibly happen in this business. And I think although knowing what to do is important, knowing what not to do is equally as important, if not more important, in any business model. If you can point out the negatives, the things that take you back or cause you to experience a lack of success, and decrease those things and then increase the things that are positive, are working, well, you'll achieve more success over time. So with that being said, I'm going to go through only the two, like I said, biggest mistakes that you, me, everyone in this business could possibly make, and the two things that really slow down success at the end of the day. So I have them written down right here, and we'll go through each one individually. Number one, waiting for images to be approved. I've spoken about this before in the Superstock course, so if you guys are not familiar, I created a course, almost like a library, just over 100 videos of me sharing everything that I've learned in the stock photography world, creating different images, uploading them, what tools to use, etc. And one of the things that I have seen myself do, especially in my amateur days starting off, is something that I would do is I would wait for some images to be approved. So something that I would do is I would create, let's just say 50 images, 100, 200, publish them, and then every day I would log in to check if they're approved or not. And although caring about why images are being approved or denied is important, rather denied, why they're being rejected is important, don't wait for those images to be either approved or rejected for you to keep doing the work. And I've seen this happen time and time again with myself and with others. So I'll get comments all the time where people will say, "Oh, it takes so long for my images to be approved." And that may be true, but that shouldn't be the thing that slows you down. It shouldn't be the thing that causes you not to continue uploading. At the end of the day, when you're uploading, the reality is that there has to be some sort of queue. There has to be some sort of timer, or not a timer, but a place in line, a queue, for you to get your images approved. And for everybody, obviously, times do vary, things do change, but that shouldn't be the cause or the reason why you don't sit there and upload more. And like I said, I remember in my beginning days when I was working in this business, I realized, okay, I'm sitting here and I'm logging into my account so I can see if these images are being approved or not. But I'm not actually doing any kind of work. I'm essentially wasting time. And something that I kind of prided myself on in the beginning of my business journey many years ago is every day I would have progress to show for the day. I would be able to say, okay, I completed XYZ today. I done this, I done that, I done this, I done that. And I could literally prove it by showing different things to myself. And so in this business, the only thing that can actually make you successful is uploading, right? It's not analyzing when your images are going to be approved. It's not reading forums on how to get images approved. It's going out there and doing the work. Now, there are things that can improve your approval ratings, right? There are tools that you can use. There are things that you could do to the images to make them look better, to get them approved. There are different softwares that you could use, or there are some softwares that you shouldn't use, right, to increase that approval rating. There's things that you could do. And if that's the case, if you're struggling with a lot of rejections, then that's typically not a mystery. There's nothing, a coincidence there. Everything happens for a reason. So if you're getting tons of rejections, those rejections are there because, many different purposes, many different reasons. I don't have to list them out, but it could be a software that you're using. It could be maybe a certain edit that you're doing to the images that are causing them to decrease the way that they look, in terms of quality. There's a lot of different reasons why an image will get rejected. But the biggest mistake, like I said, that you could do is sitting there waiting every single day for the images to be approved because you're scared to do the work because you fear that those new images will get approved as well, disapproved as well, or rejected as well. So you got to keep moving, right? You upload your images. Once those are uploaded and they're through the process where they're in the application of waiting to be approved or rejected, You just got to create more. You create more, you create more, you create more, and then over time, what you'll notice is that you'll have a tsunami of just creation that will generate for you income on a daily basis. And I know that sounds simple and simplified, but it really is that simple. And if you kind of do the work day in and day out for a very long period of time, the results do add up, and they become very significant over a period of time. So that was the first one. The second one is you're letting rejections affect you in a negative way. So what do I mean by that? When I say a negative way, I really mean that it slows down your progress. It hurts your progress. Once again, you have to keep your eye on the prize. The number one reason why people become successful in this business is they have literally tens of thousands of images added onto their catalogs that produce an income for them. That's the number one reason, and that's the only reason. They have large collections of images that people can download. The more real estate that you hold, right, the more land that you own in this virtual world, the more money you're going to make. That's just as simple as that. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, quality matters, right? I don't want you to conflate the two. Quality matters. If you're doing everything right, you're using the softwares that we shared in the course, you're using the tools that we shared, you're doing all these kind of things, rejection should be at a very, very low number. Really no more than 8 to 7% on the things that you upload, right? And when you're doing these kind of uploads, right, it's normal to have rejections. But once again, if you're allowing the rejection to stop you from progressing in this business, and you know what progression is, you know that you have to create. But if you're letting it stop you, then that means you're doing too much of number one. You're waiting for the images to be approved. So these kind of go hand in hand, right? If an individual is letting the rejection get to their head, and they're not doing the work, and they're saying, oh, well, what should I do, and this and that, and of course, research is great. You have to focus on improving and getting better. But if you're letting the negative rejection stop you from your workflow, then that means it's too much in your head, right? You're thinking about it too much. You're letting it get in the way. So yes, you have to focus on why the rejection is occurring. You have to solve that problem, right? If it's a quality issue and 80%, 90% of your images are being rejected, or even 50%, 40%, that's way too much. You have to figure out, where are you going wrong? Is it the prompt? Is it the image? Is it the size of the image? Is it the software? What is it in the flow, in your workflow, that needs to be improved so that you can actually get some approvals, right? And what you really need to do over time is you need to solve the negative issues. So, for example, let's say you solved the problem with your rejections. Well, that's one problem you solved. Now you have to figure out, okay, what's my ratio of uploading to sales? How many sales am I getting? How many downloads am I getting? Right? Because technically a download is a sale. How much am I earning? How can I improve my earnings? What can I do? Is it a certain type of image that could be performed better? Is a certain type of category? Maybe I have to explore a different kind of niche. You got to analyze pretty much everything. Now, typically, when I speak to people who are asking me about niches and categories, like just today, somebody commented and they said, oh, are the only photos that you create food and animals? And the answer is absolutely not. I don't create just pictures of animals or just pictures of food. I do literally everything. I don't hold myself back from creating a certain type of image. And once again, this approach that everything has to be perfect is not ideal. There are certain things where, yes, part of the business has to be perfect, which is what? It's the creation process. And when I say perfect, what do I mean by that? Don't allow room for you to get rejected normally, right? So, like, if I'm creating blatantly ugly images or low quality images, then I'm giving room for a rejection to happen almost instantaneously. And I don't want that. That's obvious, okay? But if I know that my system works, if I know that I'm doing things right, then at that point, I really should just take my foot off the brakes and just keep creating, right? Don't get too caught up in the numbers. Just keep creating, just keep creating, just keep creating. Close your eyes for a really long period of time, look up, and then you'll notice you've created 10,000, 20,000 images. And then if you wanted to, theoretically, if you wanted to walk away from the business, you'll still have a consistent flow of income on a month-to-month, week-to-week basis, right? Now, at that point in time, if you've really generated that many images, obviously, practice improves, and it makes you better. and ideally your quality, your flow, your work system is going to improve, and you're going to have some significant results. And those results are really going to command you to not quit the business or not stop right there. I've said this before. I have always told people, even in my videos way before I even released the course, I told people, don't stop until you've created 10,000 uploads, because I want you to know what it feels like to have a consistent flow of income on a business that maybe you've never ever tried before. A lot of people listening to this, they may have never succeeded in any other business model. But this is one of those businesses that really isn't difficult. There is no really high difficulty in this business, or it requires high amounts of skill. It just requires a system where it requires time and effort. Now, once again, there are tools, there are things that you can do to cut down the effort, cut down the work, cut down the time that is required. So I'll give you an example. The work that it would take me to do last year, right, in 1 hour, the amount of work that's required, the amount of work that can be completed in an hour's worth of work last year, for me can now be completed in about a minute of work. From upscaling to creating. Let's just say I sit down for an hour by myself, and I'm able to create 350 images, and I'm able to upscale them. Well, now I could do that in about 2 minutes, right? So I have certain tools that I can click, and it will automate the process, and I can walk away from everything, right? It will just do the work for me. So I can put myself in multiple situations. And this is what I mean when I say gradually improving, finding a way to slowly adapt, make the system better so that you can improve your results. And that's natural. That's going to happen over time, because any logical person who's working on a business day in and day out, they're going to notice certain pattern behaviors, certain things that improve success, and they're going to do more of that, right? And for me, in terms of noticing patterns, these are the two things that I find to be the biggest negatives that not only held me back at one point in time, but hold pretty much everyone back in this business, which is, once again, waiting for an image to be approved and slowing down on that workflow and letting that get in the way, and then also letting the rejections that do eventually happen, whether you like them or not, to affect you in a negative way. Now, rejections can also affect you in a positive way. You can look at those rejections and you can start questioning your methods, your strategies, and start saying, well, what am I doing wrong here, and how can I improve? Obviously, if you're getting rejection rates lower than, like I said, 8 to 7%, I wouldn't really worry too much. It might be just a bad situation, maybe an image at the not ideal angle or whatever the case may be, causing it to get a negative rejection. That's not the end of the world. Not everybody's going to have a perfect acceptance rate, in terms of the uploads. But ideally, you would want something 10%, maybe 11% or lower. I really wouldn't go for anything higher than 11 or 12%. If you're getting a 30, 40, 50% rejection rate, there's something wrong there. You have to analyze. And analyzing, putting your foot on the brakes for just a minute and analyzing what are the mistakes you're doing through your upload process, through your creation process, that's not a negative way that it's affecting you. That's positive, because you're figuring out how can you fix the problems in this business, right? Once you fix those problems, then you take your foot off the brake and you just keep creating, right? But in a negative way, assuming, let's just say, I have a small amount of rejections, I shouldn't sit there and ponder for days and weeks as to why I'm getting rejections and even let it get into my head. Because once I stop my flow of work, that's when it gets into my head. And as soon as it gets into my head, then I'm not producing. Then I'm slowing down. So the most important part is really don't be in your head, if that makes sense. Don't get into your head. Don't think about things too much and just go out there and produce. Because once you start second guessing yourself, asking yourself, oh, is this going to work? Is that going to work? What do I do this? What do I do that? It's going to slow you down. And unfortunately, slowing you down in this business is monumentous. You could literally, if we take things down to the second, you can be clicking buttons, creating images by the second. And make no mistake, when you're not doing it, someone else out there is, right? And at the end of the day, guys, I said this business before is not going to last forever. It might last for 5 years. It might last for 10 years. Who knows? But every minute that you are supposed to work and you're wasting that away, it's a minute that you're going to regret in the future. So hopefully this video helps out. if you're ever struggling, try to come back to this video and remind yourself where you're making mistakes. Review these things and just use it as an alignment tool. All right? I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out. Bye.